SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
This is Gerard Gibert, and thank you for listening to MidDays here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to MidDay SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, and I'm on location in West Point, Mississippi. We are here for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. We'll be talking about all the great things going on here in West Point and Clay County with Rhino Safe and Sound back in the SuperTalk Mississippi headquarters in Jackson. We'll be guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music. What's up there, Rhino?
Howdy.
Well, it's a hot one outside, but always a delight to traverse the countryside of the great state of Mississippi, as I did this morning, leaving my home in Ridgeland there and trucked on up to West Point. We're all here and buckled in, ready to go. So the parade of data center investments in the great state of Mississippi continues. The governor announcing a new $6 billion data center to be built in Rankin County, Brandon, Mississippi. Fantastic news. This data center will be constructed by Avio Digital, expected to create lots of jobs, will utilize sustainable design features such as water-efficient cooling and rooftop solar. And this is really consistent with modern data center architecture. You know, the AWS facilities out in Madison announced they will be using wastewater to cool the facility. Of course, those servers and IT equipment, mainly the servers, they generate a lot of heat. And the heat is to some extent cooled by the fans in the machines. And in fact, it's the fans that draw the power more than anything. There's a power supply, of course, on board those machines inside the chassis. But it's the fans that need more power than the electronics do because of the advances in silicon design, and we've been able to reduce lots of circuitry through the years down to just small amounts of integrated circuits on the silicon wafer itself. It's the old Moore's Law. Rhino, you remember that? What did Moore say decades ago? Every 2 years, we were able to double the number of transistors that could fit on a silicon wafer. Now, many scientists believe that's been somewhat leveled out, that we've sort of achieved maximum density there. But nonetheless, we continue to improve on the ability to take what used to be separate purpose-built circuitry, boards, infrastructure inside these machines, inside these chassis and cabinets, and reduce those down to just one little bitty chip. Ethernet, your Ethernet connection is such an example. I remember in the early days selling these boards that you would install in a PC that were full size. In other words, they were the entire width of the machine itself in a slot, and those things were $895, and it was a heavy card with a whole bunch of wires and circuits embedded on it. And that's been reduced now to a little bitty chip that's installed in every machine, including your iPhone. I mean, it's teeny tiny. That's just an example. So a whole lot less power is required. You can get a lot more functionality in the system, et cetera. I know I'm getting into the weeds a little bit on these technical architectures, but the point is it's all of those advances in technology that have made this data center explosion possible, which has made this artificial intelligence transformation possible, and that is going on. So Avio, by the way, this is a company that doesn't provide cloud services. Rather, it constructs data centers. So what they're looking for are customers that would co-locate their equipment in their facility to deliver such cloud services. That's similar to the Compass investment going on over Meridian. So, I always felt like the announcement of by AWS to invest their original announcement, of course, at $10 billion in Madison County, I always felt like that was very conservative. And I think we're going to see that this first phase, and I do believe there will be multiple phases. This is just an opinion. That's not official. There will be multiple phases that AWS will invest in, and I think this investment will come in maybe closer to $30 billion as opposed to 10. But I always felt like that announcement would serve as a catalyst for other companies in the same or related industries to sort of take a look and say, what are they doing in Mississippi? If this is good enough for Amazon, well, shoot, it's good enough for us. I absolutely believe that breaking through that glass ceiling, that barrier there, has led to these subsequent investments, and I think we're just getting started. I really do. Mississippi is a great place to make such investments. We have plentiful land suited for this purpose. We got lots of low-cost electricity and power. We've got a great workforce, and that workforce is only improving with all of the workforce development initiatives, award-winning, I might add, in the state of Mississippi. We've got a business-friendly regulatory and tax environment. We got all the above and a very high quality of life across our state. Do we have issues, challenges, problems? Of course we do. All 50 states do. But we continue to address those, and this is the way to address our most pressing critical needs, which is, in my view, the number one problem from which all others stem is poverty. The only way to address poverty, not with welfare, not with laws passed under the dome, but rather by growing the state's economy and creating prosperity. And I couldn't be more excited about, I know we had a long discussion about this Friday when I returned from the big AI conference, couldn't be more excited about where this technology is leading. In fact, I caught an article, Rhino, this morning about savings that AI is delivering to corporate America, now estimated to be $1 trillion, and we're just in the embryonic stage. And it really just has to do with accomplishing tasks at a much greater rate of speed than the drudgery of human research and analysis and compilation. Think about that. That's 40% of the annual compensation expenses within the S&P 500. This could result, according to some analysts, in $13 trillion to $16 trillion in market value for the companies in the S&P 500 just because of the efficiencies that they are achieving. And I know a lot of people get worried about, well, geez, look at all the jobs it's displacing. I'll say it again. Jensen Huang put it best, the founder, CEO of NVIDIA. By the way, their earnings are to be announced on the 27th. More about that in a minute. But he says, no, AI isn't going to take your job. Someone using AI is going to take your job. That just made so much sense, and it continues to today. And, Rhino, you've talked a lot about human creativity and how that cannot be replaced, that AI essentially builds on and utilizes the creation of humans. That's how
we're a long ways away from any machine being able to do anything close to something that's actually creative and not derivative.
Totally 100% true. And so I've been reading a lot about use of AI in education, for example, in teaching and education. And what's so cool is the people that are in that industry that understand it understand that you can't replace the human aspect of teaching. Can you enhance education, improve it, make it more efficient? Things like doing lesson plans, and that's already being done, by the way. Grading papers, personal tailored education assistance to students, absolutely. But the human aspect of that, only humans are capable of compassion. You talked about that, I think, yesterday, how these bots and these tools just lack even the ability to sense and understand empathy and human compassion. That's still the role, but let's give them tools to be even more effective at teaching our young people. Lisa Klutz, the Executive Director of the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance, is up next. Stay with us.
Only time will tell.
Is your company...
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
We're rolling.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
What? This is so
Awesome. On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from West Point, Mississippi. We're here for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. In fact, we're pleased to welcome now Lisa Klutz, Executive Director of the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Lisa, always good to see you. Thanks for coming on again, and thanks for having us.
Always glad to have you.
Yeah, so tell us what's going on here in West Point. You've got a big festival coming up, right?
It is our biggest event that we host here at the Growth Alliance, the Prairie Arts Festival. It is always Saturday of Labor Day weekend, and this year it's August 30th. The day starts with a 5K run at 8 a.m., and the festival's all day long till 4.
5K run at 8 a.m.?
That's it, before
Wow.
it gets too hot.
Yeah, exactly. So the Saturday before Labor Day, that's always the day. I
Yes.
recall that from hosting the show previously in previous years in advance of that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell the folks what kind of activities they can expect as part of the festival.
Just a little bit of everything for the whole family. We do have 200 vendors of juried fine arts, handmade crafts, pottery, paintings, jewelry. There's things for kids to do like the mechanical bull, rock climbing, pony rides and face painting, pet goats. And then there's music. We've got the main stage. We've got a lot of good bands playing on it. There's music around every corner, some busking on the sidewalk. And there's food, of course.
Okay. So a lot of activities and great fun for the entire family, as
The
they say,
whole
right?
downtown.
Takes over the whole downtown,
It
right?
does. It does.
And obviously you expect a lot of visitors to come in to descend upon West Point for that, right?
It is something that the West Point community always looks forward to. I mean, for 47 years, it's tradition. But we also host a lot of visitors to West Point, and glad to have them.
And I assume when they visit, they stay in the hotels and they eat food in the restaurants and spend money elsewhere as well, right?
They do.
And that's
There's
what
lots
the
to
whole
do in
deal's
West
about.
Point.
So did you tell me 47 years?
47 years.
Wow, that is incredible. So do you know the origins? Whose idea was this 47 years ago?
Well, back in 1979, a man... you put
That's
me on,
okay.
You put me on the spot.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Mr. Stafford
Okay.
established it. Yes, they had a...
Now let me ask you, the CPA?
He is.
Watkins Ward Stafford,
Yes.
right? Yeah, a huge firm that
So-
was based here. I came out of that industry, so I remember them.
Yes, and so I mean, the festival is a lot of fun, but it is a business, and it makes money for it. Not only our organization that goes directly back into the community, but brings in sales tax that's important to our economy.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So, of course, the CPA is behind it.
Of course. So, I assume, though, that Mr. Stafford, being someone who was well known in the community, maybe his idea, but started talking to other folks in the community, business people, merchants, and so forth, said, I think this would be a good thing for West Point. Let's do it.
Yes, and worked with Louise Campbell, who was here before me, and just really took it to where it is now.
Okay. So, it has grown considerably. What do you think about this, Lisa? We do remotes for lots of cities, towns across the state that all have sort of themed events like this for the purpose of attracting people in, visitors in, to, like we said, it's a boost to the local economy. It seems like there's more of that in Mississippi than there are in other states. I mean, I haven't done any research on that. Do you think it's consistent with kind of our hospitality and our welcoming attitude? Is that what's going on here?
Absolutely. There is a lot of arts here in not only West Point and the Golden Triangle, but Mississippi. Of course, we want to show that hospitality.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. So, do you often run in, Lisa, to people who come to the festival and have never been to Mississippi, never been to West Point, and they're just blown away by what they find?
Yes, because the Highway 45 that runs through West Point, they may be busy going to work, on vacation, tailgating at Mississippi State, and don't realize that we have a downtown that is just beautiful.
Yeah, so they never really stop to smell the roses, as they say,
and
right?
Explore West Point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so do you think in many cases, once they have that experience, they then become regular visitors to the festival?
We have experienced that they definitely come back, because there's a lot to do at Prairie Arts. That they see things, attractions, murals, points of interest, stores, restaurants that they want to come back and experience. So
Prairie Arts, help us understand the connection with that and West Point.
West Point is very much, let me back up. We used to be known for brine foods.
Right,
and when they closed, it's kind of like we lost our identity, or what is our identity. And we are very much an outdoors community with Mossy Oak and Prairie Wildlife. A golf destination with Old Waverly. Yes, Mossy Oak Golf.
Mossy Oak,
but we are also an arts community. We have a strong arts council, and we have lots of murals and just art installations in town.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. So that was the connection. That was the catalyst for the theme, and that's just continued. So does it then attract lots of people who would describe themselves as artists?
If not, then they discover it when they get here, for sure. With 200 vendors, yes, they. So there's two things. Is like we invite the public, the visitors, to come check out Prairie Arts, but then we also have the vendors the artists who are coming to show and sell their work. Okay.
So the artists bring their creations as well, and they sell them. They're just available to the public, right?
That's
as part of the festival. Mm-hmm. Wow. So they make a little money, show their stuff, probably gets them a little boost to come back, do it again the next year, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's cool. So it takes place in the downtown area, which is really neat here.
Yes, on all of Commerce Street. And in the park, we have a huge green space downtown West Point, if you've never been off the highway and gotten downtown. That's unique because a lot of downtowns don't have the green space that we have.
Yeah, you're right about that. It is kind of a unique design. A lot of towns in Mississippi, as you know, have squares. It was kind of a common design back in their day.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a little different here. What else is going on in West Point that you want to share with us that you're excited about?
Well, the Black Prairie Blues Museum has events going on. We're home to Howlin' Wolf, and so there'll be things going on leading up to the festival and the night of the festival.
Okay.
We have industry popping up. Joe Mexican was on earlier talking about things that are going on in the Golden Triangle and Ford County and Fastnet, and the growth that's happening, not only in West Point and Clay County, but Columbus, Starkville, and the Golden Triangle.
Yeah, and I was just talking this morning about a big announcement in Brandon, pardon me, in Rankin County, Mississippi. But Mississippi's on a roll right now, and the governor is right, I think, to point that out. And it extends to all areas, all regions of the state. Of course, with Joe Max, he's an amazing economic developer. You know, he's all over it and is going to continue to bring investment into the Golden Triangle area.
He's good at it.
He's really good. And, of course, West Point benefits from that big time.
Yes, for employment to the economy. Yes.
Yeah. New site that we did a remote for back in the spring that's over closer to Starkville. That's we had a big grand opening ceremony, so to speak, to celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
The Cinco site.
The Cinco.
Yeah, really cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
Fifth one.
Yeah, the fifth one, exactly. I thought that was pretty neat. But, you know, Joe Max will have that thing filled up pretty soon, won't he?
It won't take long. It won't take long.
That's awesome. So the residents of West Point, the townspeople, they enjoy the festival as well, and they are fully supportive of it, I assume.
Yes, it's something they look forward to every year. For 47 years, it's been part of the tradition of Labor Day weekend. And when attracting new industry and businesses, yes, you have to have the workforce, but also quality of life, and that's what we provide here at the Growth Alliance, working with small businesses. So it all works together.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So economic development on a roll here. You got the great downtown area, high quality of life, great schools, health care, close to Mississippi State University. It's a pretty good place to live and work.
Close to the airport.
Yeah, that's right. You got a great airport here as well. So I've flown out of it before. Really, really neat stuff. In fact, I think in one of the remotes we interviewed the manager of the airport here.
Matt Dowell.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
exactly.
He'll be here in just a little bit.
Okay, he's on our list today. Okay, I just now see that. So I think it was 2 years ago when I had him on. I'm just looking at the list here. So you're ahead of me. Mm-hmm. You know my lineup better than I do at this point. So
I think I created it.
Okay, I got you. Before we go, anything else you want to talk to us about?
No, and just going off of that, we just have a lot of great community partners. I mean, it's not just West Point or Columbus or Starkville. We all complement each other and work together. And we all have our own festivals, but Prairie Arts Festival is Labor Day weekend every year.
That's awesome. Coming up Labor Day weekend, the Prairie Arts Festival in West Point, Mississippi. We've been chatting with Lisa Klutz, Executive Director of the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. We're taking a little break right here. The Element Wealth Studio has been relocated to West Point, Mississippi. We're coming right back.
From the Seabrook Paint.
Attention, adoring fans! It's time for
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. The Element Wealth Studio is in West Point, Mississippi today for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Go to myelementwealth.com or call 601-957-6006 to let Element Wealth help you find your balance between income growth and guarantees. Haven't checked it since I stepped out of the vehicle and parked up here, I know, but last check, the Dow was up. The S&P and the NASDAQ both were declining. I think there's just a little selling going on after the big run-up in the Mag 7, which, of course, dominates the NASDAQ. So good stuff going on there. NVIDIA scheduled to announce next week, the 27th. And expectations are they're going to have a blowout quarter of earnings, of revenue and earnings, which is really exciting. Already, of course, they've just been on a tear, as you guys know. So I think that we can expect even more coming. So from NVIDIA next week, and investors are getting ready for that. And I think we'll see that. So the left will have a meltdown because they'll produce an astonishing amount of profit in a quarter, and they won't like that because they don't like profit. You kind of see that as well, Rhino, that if any of these companies produce a profit, that they tend to get in the crosshairs of the left. They're like anti-profit because they're anti-capitalism.
Exactly, because if a non-government entity can make a profit, it proves that it's possible to succeed without the government's assistance. So all the
exactly
lies
right.
they spew about how you got to have daddy government take care of you, it sours their narrative.
Does it feel like it's like how they get some purpose, maybe some meaning in life? No, the markets, the private sector didn't do that. That was government. It was these laws and regulations I passed that led to that. What a joke. What a joke, I've always thought. So it's like you're encroaching on their gig, that you're getting in the way. They don't want that. It's crazy. It really is. On the C Spire text line, Deep South Power Washing says, talking about this big announcement, of these data centers across the state. Now 3, Amazon Web Services, Compass, and now Avio, the most recent announced today that's going into Rankin County. Deep South Power Washing says there are data hall air handling units. Data hall, yeah, I said it right. They are very large, and a lot of them are going in per building. Basically, these are massive air conditioners. So, you mean that other companies are actually benefiting from these investments? Here we go with the second-order logic again. Imagine that. And guess what? Lots of companies are going to sell them these DAHUs, and lots of labor is going to be required to install them. And you know what? Lots of maintenance labor it will be, and parts, etc., in the ensuing years. That's the way it works. I just don't know why they don't get that.
Because you're forgetting about this other person that dreams of making that much money, but they don't actually want to do the work, but they have dreams.
That's a good
and
point.
Feelings, and you got to care about their feelings more than your profit.
It's the same discussion we had yesterday with him just blasting Bezos, Robert Reich. He could pay more taxes. He had this extravagant wedding in Venice. And then you start thinking about all the people that benefited from his massive wedding. Do you think they don't like Bezos? Don't come here. I don't want you to spend a bunch of money on the products and services that I sell. Where the heck do they think that comes from? It's just mind-boggling to me. It's the same thing when they all blast wealthy people. They got private jets. Yeah. Who makes private jets? Who operates them? Who services them? Who benefits? Who flies them? Who maintains them? Do they not realize that the economic outgrowth and impact that one person who has the money to buy a private jet makes? The number of people that are affected positively by that? What the heck? I guess not. So let's just all be... Right, exactly. Let's just all be poor. Okay, then there's no jet industry and everything else involved in supporting private aviation. Then what? I know, second order. Never think about that. Unbelievable. Thomas in Greenwood says, that's a lot of data centers in one area. Maybe we'll get nuclear to power it all. I hope so. And again, the announcement that they're going to install rooftop solar, I doubt that's sufficient. I don't know that. I haven't been privy to this information to accommodate all of the power requirements for this project in Brandon, in
I
Rankin
can tell
County.
you without looking at the numbers, it won't be sufficient. There's not enough square footage on any roof in the state of Mississippi to power a data center.
I would agree.
You could
Even
put
if
solar
you covered
panels
the
on
entire
the
roof.
biggest manufacturing place in the Magnolia State, and you wouldn't have enough power pumped from solar panels to run a data center.
Not based on, you're right, not based on current solar power efficiency and capability. Totally agree with you. Can it be part, however, of the overall energy supply? Sure, it can be part of it, but it's not sufficient. We still need fossil fuels powered electric generation plants to satisfy the needs here. Again, the good news is the president is fully aware of this, and he is pursuing policies that ensure that this country has the power to accommodate this massive transformation that is upon us with artificial intelligence, which requires lots of computers and storage and other devices, all of which consume power. And if we ignore that, in my view, and we just say, well, we don't need to do that because we don't have the power, we don't have this, that, and the other, I can assure you that our most ardent foes, mainly China, they are investing immensely in power and this technology, and they're seeking to outgun us, pun intended, except the gun here is digital warfare.
Which is why you can ignore anybody crying about climate change and CO2, and they never actually take that next step to criticize China.
Totally true.
Because China's pumping out more CO2 than the rest of the world combined.
And that's been the case for a while. I mean, that's not right. Yeah. That's nothing new. They've been standing up coal-powered power plants, coal-fueled power plants for quite some time without any regard for the environment. Yet
it's because none of the climate nuts actually care about the environment. It's just a convenient way to tug on heartstrings to get communism implemented.
I think you're absolutely right. But they are determined to achieve superiority in artificial intelligence and, more importantly, and more concern, quantum computing. You and I have talked about that quite a bit. And if we rest on our laurels and we don't accept the challenge and invest alongside at a clip that exceeds them so that we achieve superiority, we'll be living under, as Lyndon Johnson famously said in one of my favorite movies, The Right Stuff. This is a great line. I don't know if you remember this or if you've seen it, Rhino. He said, "I, for one, do not intend to go to sleep by the light of a communist moon." I don't know if you remember that. But that's what literally we're talking about. Now, a couple of days ago, I think I mentioned that IBM and Google have now claimed that they've had significant breakthroughs in quantum computing. And in fact, the IBM CEO said it doesn't feel like a dream anymore. That came from Jay Gambetta, head of IBM's actually quantum initiative. I thought it was the CEO. It doesn't feel like a dream anymore. So the progress that's being made is monumental. Google, of course, cleared one of the longest technical obstacles. You remember that late last year. We talked about it. That's when you pointed out that they came up with a chip that in a matter of minutes, I believe, could complete a computation of 10 septillion years. And you correctly pointed out the universe hadn't been around that long. So
they essentially invented time travel.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We want to be superior with this technology. Amazon Web Services says it could still take 15 to 20 years before quantum-based computers are sort of mainstream useful, but I guarantee you there will be other use cases and applications in the interim that will be leveraged. We're coming right back from West Point, Mississippi. We're here for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance.
Come on. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
All right,
We are back
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from West Point, Mississippi. We're here once again for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Paul in Meridian, I know he's in this business. He says Whirlpool has control boards on national back order. What's going on there, Paul? Is there a component shortage, or are these made in the U.S., or are they made abroad? Is this typical? Of course, what we're talking about here are the control boards would be essentially the computer, if you will, inside the appliance. So a lot of times you'll see chip shortages. I just know from my experience in the industry through the years that would result in a constraint of certain finished products. You couldn't get certain chipsets to install on the boards themselves, and thus the entire board would be on back order. Maybe that's what's going on there. Deep South Power Washing also said, I've heard the same number from AWS at $30 billion. Yeah, and it's based on information that they have provided us, which indicates they're investing about $2.2 billion per building. So there are 12 buildings going up at the North Campus, just south of Canton in Madison County at the mega site, and 4 at the South Hyperscale campus. And that essentially abuts the border of Hinds County and Madison County there at the end of Highland Colony Parkway. 4 buildings there, so you can do the math and arrive at roughly a $30 billion investment. Really incredible. Very, very exciting as well. But this report here that corporations are reporting massive savings, nearly $1 trillion a year from the utilization of AI is absolutely how wealth is created. Wealth is only created when productivity is gained, when the amount of output per human hour or any measurement of time, it doesn't matter, as that increases, then wealth is created. So the less time it takes to achieve any task is inducive to economic prosperity. It's just really that simple. And so through the years, human innovation has been the catalyst for human productivity, and human productivity is what creates wealth. We're all wealthier because of that. Some benefit more than others because they choose to leverage those tools which make them more productive. And in the corporate world, any that don't are essentially going to perish. And that's why they're all adopting this technology in some way, shape, or form. So I did find, by the way, I was talking earlier about this individual that I met while I was at the AI conference. His name is Damian Creamer. He's the founder and CEO of a company called EdTech. They've been in business over 20 years. They specialize in online remote learning solutions, if you will, virtual classrooms. And I don't mean just join a live classroom. I mean online education, online training, online courseware. And he shared last week when I was at the conference, he had a booth. Of course, his company, by the way, is called Strong Mind. And they were showcasing a new tool called Lexi that his company has created. And it is designed to be an AI assistant, if you will, for K-12 students. And yesterday, so I, of course, got connected with him on LinkedIn. We exchanged cards, had a great conversation. And yesterday he posted something that I thought really did summarize and characterize what this means, what AI technology means to K-12 education. He says, let's be clear, AI is not the teacher, and it never will be, because teaching is more than information delivery. It's mentorship. It's discernment. It's seeing the student who's falling behind and asking, are you okay? AI can automate tasks. AI can offer support, but only humans can offer care. What do you think, Rhino? I think that's perfectly stated, honestly, to keep things in perspective. The value proposition of a teacher and the value proposition of AI as a teaching educational tool. That this is not, hey, AI, go do my homework. That's different. That's not what this is about. We need to be teaching our kids how to use these tools, even at the youngest of ages. That doesn't mean we need to replace more critical thinking training and education. Absolutely. But you know what? To use those tools effectively, that requires critical thinking skills. That's what their life is going to be like when they enter the workforce. We need to be preparing them for that eventuality, that reality, is what I believe. We're stepping aside for a break here in West Point, Mississippi. We're here for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Coming up after Fox News and SuperTalk News, it's Jack Wells, the president at B&M Pole Company. Stay with us.
Of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 2 of Middays. We're in West Point, Mississippi for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Hour 2 of the program is now live from the Element Wealth Studio in West Point. We're pleased to welcome now Jack Wells, the president at B&M Pole Company. Hey, Jack, thanks for coming on.
Hey, honored to be here.
So talk about your company, exactly what you guys do and how you got involved in that industry.
Well, we are in our 78th year of business now.
Wow.
All of them here in West Point.
Yeah.
Founded in 1947 by Woodrow Wilson Simmons.
Wow.
As the B&M company. And one of my favorite trivia questions that I like to ask is, do you know what the B&M stands for?
Yeah.
Stands for broom and mop.
Okay.
So in 47, that was our initial business. We were in the broom and mop business.
Sure.
Of course, Mr. Will at that time was an avid crappie fisherman, and his search was always for the best bamboo pole he could find. And ultimately, he started procuring those and selling those a little bit on the side. Ultimately, it took over the broom and mop business, and so I would tell you somewhere probably in the early 50s, we went completely into the bamboo pole business.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's what you've been doing since then?
Well, I mean, we're in the fishing pole business now. The products have evolved over the years. We went from bamboo. Then his son, Buck Simmons, took over the business, and we kind of branched out into the telescopic poles and the extender poles, as a lot of folks call them. And then in 1979, Buck had the idea to make a crappie rod out of graphite. And we were told at the time by our rep agency, who is still our rep agency now for 60 plus years, there's no way a crappie fisherman will ever pay $30 for a pole. Here we are, 2025. It is still our flagship item. Turns out they would buy it, and they've bought a lot of them over the years. So,
right.
Buck really revolutionized crappie fishing at that point by taking that risk.
So graphite, 1979, that was fairly revolutionary as a new material back then, was it not?
It was. I think you had a few bass companies that were starting to use it, but no, as a general rule, it was very new for crappie.
Strength and lightweight.
Correct.
Right? Its most redeeming qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, flexibility if you
You
construct it a certain way, which you need on poles.
You do. I would tell you that depending on the technique of what a fisherman needs, most of our poles, the way they bend, the action of those rods, still in a lot of ways emulate bamboo from back in the day.
Huh. So, do you make those at your facilities here?
We do not. Like most of our industry, we import most of it.
Yeah. And then you distribute it across the nation.
We
world,
do.
Or?
We're a member of the Mississippi Manufacturers Association.
Okay.
But yeah, we sell. We sell to all the major big box stores: Walmart, Bass Pro, Cabela's, Academy. But we're also very proud of our dealer network across the country. Our independent dealers are.
And are the products or the poles branded as B&M poles?
Yes,
Okay.
B&M.
Okay.
Sure
I
is.
didn't know if you did any specialty jobbing work like for other poles.
Well, I mean, we have some partnerships out there. At one point in time, we made a pole for Duck Commander.
Okay.
Back when they were at the height of their popularity, and it wasn't Duck Dynasty. Ours was branded Duck Commander, and then we partnered with Mossy Oak on some items too.
So do you think, Jack, that Mossy Oak being located here in West Point, has that been kind of a catalyst? Or you guys have been around, I think, longer than them.
We have.
What is the what's up, I guess, with all the outdoor related businesses and industry around here?
I'm not sure. I think it probably I think it's as simple as, these folks spent a lot of time in the outdoors growing up, and that was, they saw opportunities to make a living that way, and that's just kind of how it panned out.
Well, it's certainly favorite recreation for many Mississippians, but there's also a business side of it, a business dimension that maybe is not that well understood, but it's a big industry.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, look, everybody loves fishing. I love fishing.
Yeah.
But it is still a business.
Yeah, it's still a business.
I'm reminded of that every time I write a tuition check to either State or Ole Miss.
I understand. Or payroll, right?
Yeah, payroll.
Yeah, it's still a business, but we've been talking about that today. It's the prosperity that we've achieved in this country that allows them to spend their money on these kinds of products
for sure,
for their personal entertainment and enjoyment.
Regardless, I think a lot of times of the economic climate out there, if it's something that you're passionate about, you're likely not going to cut too much there. I mean, if that's one of your passions and one of your hobbies, you're generally going to.
In fact, some would argue it may even increase because maybe you're looking for a little relief from the stress.
Well, Buck always told me that he felt that when the economy got the toughest is when folks started thinking, you know what, let's go back to the basics here. Rather than
that's a good point.
The beach trip or something like that. Maybe we go to the pond and go fishing or something like that. So, and that over the 25 years I've had it, we've seen that trend.
Yeah. Mississippi is certainly blessed with lots of great fishing, lots of good fishing holes, isn't it?
Well, for sure, and in particular with crappie, with the core lakes up there. Look, their reputation is nationwide for big crappie.
Well, I've talked before on the show to the wildlife folks, and they've talked about some of the really large crappie that have been harvested from there.
Yep.
Like world class, right?
Yep. Yeah. World record crappie was caught over at Enid.
That's right. I think they were talking about that one day. I was just astonished at that. So, is there something about our terrain, our climate, the water, nature that just kind of induces large growth crappie? Or
well. What we've always believed, and I think there's the science is out there to back it up, but particularly with these flood control lakes, as they draw those down in the wintertime, everything kind of pulls together. So you've got your crappie, and then you've got your bait fish, and they sit there all winter long, and they're eating that. Yeah. So come springtime, they've gained weight.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases because of the way they draw the water down.
So I've got a text here from someone on our C Spire text line says B&M jig poles are the best I've ever found. So there you go, a good testimony from
Hey, we sure do appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words.
And so, talk about that, Jack. Is there something unique or distinctive about your poles, your products?
Well, for us, I guess the one thing I would tell you is that our graphite is not like everyone else's.
Okay.
Can't really share that.
Okay.
That's locked up with the KFC and the Coke recipe somewhere
in the safe.
But our graphite is different, and it's something that and it's been that way since we brought it out in '79.
Okay.
Yeah.
And consumers obviously know that.
Well, we think that we don't know if they actually know that, but what I hope they know is that our poles are very sensitive. Crop your feet upward, so that tap is a lot different than it would be for a bass or catfish. So you've got to have sensitivity in that, and but you've got to have that strength too. So a lot of times, you got to sacrifice one for the other. We've never believed that. We believe we can put both attributes into one product.
How do you think we're doing, Jack, with respect to preserving and ensuring that we have abundant crappie and other fish, game fish, and food fish as well?
Well, here in Mississippi, I can tell you that particularly on the 4 core lakes, well, 3 right now with Arcabutla being down under repair, the state of Mississippi is constantly taking a look at the creel limits, what's coming out of the lake, and so they've adjusted those over the years as techniques and technology have changed. So I think the state does a good job of making sure that we have a crappie population for years to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
J.P. Coleman State Park up in Tishomingo. What a gorgeous setting that is. In fact, whenever I'm there, it's like I don't feel like I'm in Mississippi. It looks like you're somewhere else because we don't have anything like that across the rest of the state. Good fishing there as well?
We get some good reports out of there.
Okay.
We don't get a lot of reports out of there, but we get some pretty good ones from time to time.
But the Core Lakes and Enid in particular is incredible, right?
Yes. Grenada probably has the reputation for the biggest crappie and the most crappie. But all 4 of the Core Lakes, or again 3 as it is right now, all have an outstanding reputation. You can go over there on a day in late February, early March, and you can just stand there in the parking lot and you'll see Missouri tags, you'll see Illinois tags, you'll see Alabama tags. So people are coming from all over for sure.
Awesome. Jack, enjoyed it. Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you.
You bet,
enjoyed
man.
It.
Jack Wells, president at B&M Pole Company right here in West Point, has been our guest. We're at the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance today. We're in West Point, Mississippi. That is where we have relocated the Element Well studio. We're coming right back. We've got Rod Bobo, the mayor of West Point, joining us at 11:35. Stay with us.
The innocence slips away.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
Now, on to the real part.
Dynamite!
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Well studio in West Point, Mississippi today. We're here for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Once again, Rob Bobo, the mayor of West Point, will join Middays in the next segment. We've also got Matt Dowell, the executive director of the Golden Triangle Regional Airport, on the show at 12:05. And if you've ever been to that airport, that is really quite the nice facility, certainly for a community the size of the Golden Triangle, the regional area. They're very fortunate to have such a facility. So, but we're back with you. We were talking earlier about this announcement, the governor made this morning concerning a new data center to be constructed in Rankin County, Mississippi. And I checked the company's website out as well to read their press release. Avio Digital Partners, ABAIO, $6 billion. And, of course, one thing that always surfaces, given the news that proliferated the country, really, concerning electricity and the electrical requirements of these data centers. There's concerns about those costs being passed on to consumers other than the data center facilities. Those are legitimate, valid concerns. You know, we've interviewed CEO of Entergy, Haley Forsackerly, on the program a couple of times, and we've talked to him about that at length. Also, DeKeither Stamps, Public Service Commissioner for the Central District, has been on the program discussing this as well. And so the AWS deal, specifically the legislation that was passed that provided to Amazon some concessions around corporate income taxes and sales taxes, also included a provision whereby the company and Entergy, the electricity provider, the utility company that will service the AWS campuses, are able to negotiate the rate independent of the PSC. And that raised some legitimate concerns, no doubt. But the president, the CEO of Entergy, and the PSC commissioner, DeKeither Stamps, correct me if I'm wrong here, Rhino, I believe they both said that they were confident, they were willing to commit that this AWS investment, this project, would not cause electricity rates to increase to consumers in the area that are also served by the Entergy footprint in Mississippi. They stated that on our program, and I think we have to accept them out of respect at their word. And Haley did a great job, I thought, of explaining why that would be the case. And just kind of at a high level, he said, you know, just normal costs continue to rise in the production and delivery of electricity. We've got a lot of aging generation and transmission infrastructure that has got to be modernized in order to continue to serve their customers inside the Entergy footprint in Mississippi. And that modernization costs more now from a replacement cost perspective than it did when it was originally constructed and has been on the books and depreciated. And that, of course, is included in the kilowatt hour rates we pay as consumers. But he made the point, and I believe he's right on this, just thinking about my own personal electric bill, that the electric rates continuously increase. It's not a massive spike, but I think about my bill 2 years ago versus today. I haven't checked the kilowatt hour charge, but sure does seem like it's a little more expensive than it was for essentially the same usage. And the point he made was, so we're going to have to modernize all of our existing infrastructure, but with Amazon coming in, and the same will be the case with this facility in Rankin County, Entergy has the revenue coming from their power consumption, their electric consumption, to invest substantially in new generation, new transmission, and so we benefit from the economies of scale. That, too, will replace some of the aging infrastructure that otherwise would have had to been modernized. So what he said was the trend will, of course, continue to go upward of electric rates, but at a lower rate, at a lower pace with this investment than without it. Is that the way you heard it, Rhino?
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense in my view. And so I think what we're seeing in Georgia and Virginia was poor planning, honestly. And what I'm talking about there have been reports, it's made national news, that consumers are upset that they've seen their electric bills increase as a result of these massive data center investments in their areas. And it just seemed to me like that the electric utility companies didn't properly plan for these needs. And I think that's because a lot of those projects were signed off on before it was totally understood what sort of electricity demand they would require. So I think that's just a different story. let's see. Also, I caught an article that really got my attention while we're kind of on this subject, and it has to do with the. It's kind of hard to explain that the running of this country, that those who are more in charge in this country come from the legal domain. They're lawyers, and not from the engineering world. And that one of the concerns that I think is legitimate about China versus this country is that China is largely run by technical people, by engineers. And our country is largely run by lawyers, if you think about it. If you went across our legislature, and it's no disrespect to lawyers here, I want to make that clear. That's not the point. The point is, in my view, that in our economy, let's take here in Mississippi, I don't have any research to substantiate what I'm about to say. It's just a gut feel. And Rhino, you may have a different view here. I'd ask you to weigh in. But as an occupation, as just an occupation of workers in our state, overall, lawyers are probably the most affluent. Would you agree with that, Rhino, if you just looked at an occupation? Maybe physicians, but I was
going to say doctors are probably more affluent on a individual basis.
Right. I agree.
You probably have outliers of attorneys or lawyers that have more personal wealth than the richest doctor, but like per capita, I would think doctors would be more affluent than lawyers simply because there's a lot more lawyers than doctors in the Magnolia State.
And you're right. And so that may pull the average down, right? The per capita figure down. I think that's the point you're making. But that actually helps illustrate the point. And again, this is not a criticism of the legal profession or lawyers. The point I'm trying to make is I believe that correlates to our poverty. That when we improve our economic status in this state, we'll know that because the most affluent won't be lawyers. They'll be innovators. They'll be creators. They'll be business people. If you go in the other states that are more affluent, lawyers are not at the top of the food chain, right? And again, this is not a criticism of lawyers whatsoever. What I'm trying to point out is that we've got lawyers and doctors, as Rhino points out, and they're affluent, and then it's like everybody else. That's not to say that there aren't examples. Don't get me wrong. I'm being general here. I'm just saying that when our economy starts to really boom and take hold, because we've got so many knowledge workers working in other industries besides the legal and the medical industry, that's when we know our state is on the right track. And I think we're headed in that direction. As an example, what we lack so desperately here are corporate headquarters. When we have corporate headquarters, when you got a 3 or 4 story building where all the offices have people in them that are making $250,000 and up a year, and they're not lawyers and doctors, that's when we know we are well on our way to beating back the number one problem we have in this state, and that's poverty, in my view. Because those people buy more expensive houses and they spend lots more money on all this other stuff, and you say, well, why is that good? Because that generates revenue to have better schools and better infrastructure and better health care, better quality of life and amenities and all the above. That's what happens. And I think that's the path we're on. I think that's the good news with these huge data center projects being announced, because it's the draw, not just the people there. We're coming right back with Mayor Rod Bobo of West Point.
Be sure and check out
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is on.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
is middays. We're live in West Point, Mississippi for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. We're pleased to welcome now the mayor of West Point, Mississippi, Mayor Rod Bobo. Mayor, thanks for coming on.
Gerard, thank you for inviting me, man. It's always a pleasure visiting with you.
You bet. So you got a lot of good stuff going on up here in West Point with the Prairie Arts Festival coming up in a couple of weeks, the Saturday before Labor Day. What did Lisa tell us? The 47th annual?
47th, absolutely.
Well, the first thing you have to, I think, recognize is anytime you have an event like that that has endured for almost 5 decades, you must be doing something right.
Well, something right, and you got a lot of, it's indicative to me that you have a lot of great people behind the scenes doing a lot of planning. And so that's a testament to their hard work as well.
A lot of work to put something like this together,
Absolutely.
But they pull it off every year and do a great job. And, of course, here in this building downtown West Point, lots of memorabilia, lots of posters, photos through the years for the Prairie Arts Festival event. I took a look at some of those. It's really pretty neat.
Yeah, we're really proud of our little town, man. We think we got a lot of character here, a lot of great things here in the city of West Point.
What's going on in terms of economic development in the area? I know Joe Max was on with the Richard Cross on the morning show earlier. He of course has done an amazing job of recruiting industry into the area, and that has really kept everything going here. I mean, the one thing you notice about driving around town and downtown and so forth, you don't really see any unoccupied buildings. They look to me like there's businesses in each one of them. That's a good indicator.
It is a strong indicator, and you alluded to Joe Max, and of course we're grateful for all the hard work that he's done over the years. He's certainly a master of his craft, if you will. We've got a pretty significant deal on the table that we're kind of bound by some confidentiality. I can't speak too much to, but it will be, if it comes to fruition, will be a total game changer for West Point, Clay County.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, Rod, we have here in Mississippi overall have championed and been the recipient of lots of announced investment throughout the state, which has been a good thing. We must be doing something right here in Mississippi to be selected for many of these projects over other areas, other states.
Listen, we've always known that the South is the place to be. It seems that industry is now figuring that out and coming on board. So.
Well, I agree. It's like Mississippi's been a well-kept secret, and then we've been discovered, and now everybody's jumping on board saying, what are they doing in Mississippi? Maybe we need to take another look, perhaps having bypassed us in the past, but now they seem to be all in.
Absolutely. So we've got some great people in the state of Mississippi. We have a tremendous workforce. And I think that's just now being recognized by by big industry. That's a good thing for us.
So talk about the city. How are you doing financially?
We are on sound footing. We are doing better in the city of West Point from a financial perspective, as I understand it, than we have in many, many years. We manage our budget, and we end the year, every year since I've been mayor, with a surplus.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So I believe we've discussed this in the past. The office of mayor of West Point is not actually a full-time job. Is that correct?
Well,
I know you probably work on it full-time, but just explain that to us.
I would certainly caveat that statement.
Okay.
It is listed as a part-time position, but it's far from that.
I'm sure.
If you're going to be effective at it, it takes a constant effort, but technically it's listed as a part-time job.
Okay. And what is the structure of government? Do you have a board of aldermen or
board of selectmen?
Selectmen, okay. And how many are those?
5 selectmen, 5 respective wards.
Yeah.
So 5 selectmen and a mayor.
Okay. And elections, you running for re-election?
Well, we just had elections this past May, I believe, and I actually ran unopposed.
Okay. You didn't have an opponent.
I didn't have an opponent, and that's a blessing. I often say that it's a testament of one or two things. Either I'm doing something right or nobody else is crazy enough to want the job. So.
And your selectmen, you guys have a good working relationship, I presume?
We do. I've traditionally, as mayor, and I can only speak from my time as mayor, I have had a tremendous relationship with the board, and that's been one of the key drivers to us being able to get so much done is because we don't have a lot of schism and a lot of stonewalling.
Yeah. Taxes, the sales taxes, of course, is that likely your major source of revenue? It's typically for a municipality, it's sales taxes and ad valorem taxes.
That is absolutely correct.
Sales taxes are the greater of the two in the city, or is it ad valorem tax? Some it just depends on the city and the makeup of the city.
That's correct. And then if I can remember the numbers correctly, we're about a 50-50 mix, relatively speaking.
Yeah, but at this point, you don't see the need perhaps to make any adjustments. I know folks are always worried about their property taxes going up. What's going on there?
I'll tell you this, and what a lot of people don't understand about setting millage. We can only control the city's portion of the property taxes. There are three components. There's a city component, there's a county component, and there's also a school district
which is typically the largest. The school district.
The school district is the largest. So what I can report to you today is I don't anticipate a millage increase based off of the city.
The city, okay.
I cannot control what the school board requests. But
and the DOR, of course, as you know, has instructed in accordance with law the counties to the tax assessors, right, to update the assessment, property assessment values in the counties, and that has caused some concern across the state. In DeSoto County, in particular, there have been a lot of kerfuffle about that, the possibility of seeing their property taxes go up because the values go up, but it looks like perhaps they're reacting and reducing millage to kind of offset that.
Well, we actually experienced the exact same thing last year.
Okay.
Of course, valuations were higher last year, which resulted in an increase in revenue generated by your mill, of course. And so what we did from a city perspective last year when we set millage in October, we actually lowered our city portion of the millage by one mil.
Okay, so you actually lowered the city portion.
We did last year. Of course, we set millage every year, and it's too early to say what the situation will be this year because we haven't gotten all of our assessments in.
Yeah. Anything, Mayor, in particular that you're in need of from our state government with the legislature going back into session in January? Anything you're talking to your rep senators about?
Well, one thing that we are in constant communication with our senators and representatives, or senator and representatives about, is obviously street paving money. We've been paving streets at a pretty steady rate since I've been mayor. We've got another street paving project that's teeing up now that people will see asphalt on the grounds in the next couple to 3 weeks. So certainly we want to keep street paving money going. We're always trying to improve our infrastructure, so that conversation is one that we typically have with our legislators. So that's pretty much it. That'll be the top two.
And with the special session required to get a budget passed, some of that sort of funding didn't make it this year, right?
It did not. And
this caused some problems.
Yeah, this is the first year since I've been serving as mayor that we were not awarded some amount of money for street paving.
I got you. Something that I think is going to get a lot of attention in the next legislative session is the public employees retirement system. It's been on the table for a couple of years now. There's a new tier that the legislature established, a tier 5 for all employees that enter the system next March 26th. And that's been met with some concerns. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I definitely understand the concerns, because if the cities are required to participate more as far as a contribution on behalf of the employees, it poses some budgetary concerns.
Sure.
Now, one thing that we did here in the city of West Point is we took some preemptive measures to kind of absorb the uncertainty with PERS.
Okay.
Without going into all the dynamics of that, but I think the city of West Point should be fine. We prepared for it. We know that there will be some movement. As it stands, it's 0.5% per year to cap out at I think it's 2% or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
2.5%.
2.5%. Yep. So we've accounted for that. So far.
Okay. So you're planning for that. And of course, that's phased in 0.5% increments.
Absolutely.
So little more palatable to work into the budget than a big swoop, 2.5%, 5%, as was previously discussed.
Absolutely.
That probably would have caused a lot of budgetary problems.
It definitely would. And had it not been for, I know that MML group that we all are part of, were very instrumental in making noise with our legislators to give us something that was more palatable to you.
Mayor Toby Barker, who was president from Hattiesburg.
Toby's awesome. He's awesome. He's a great ambassador.
Yeah, he was really good at carrying that message forward.
Absolutely.
Of the concerns he had. I watched him testify to the Senate about that. But sounds like you guys are in great shape. And then, of course, before we go, got about a minute left. The Prairie Arts Festival. It's a big deal for you, isn't it?
It is a humongous deal. We always look forward to it. It's a day of food, fun, and fellowship. We have a ton of people in town, which drives our tourism efforts. And so we're just always excited when this time of year comes around.
That's awesome. Mayor Rod Bobo of West Point, Mississippi, has been our guest. Appreciate it, Mayor. Thanks for coming on. Congratulations on all your success here in West Point. You bet. We're stepping aside for a break. We're coming right back. We're in West Point, Mississippi. We relocated the Element Wealth Studio up here. It's for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. Stay with us.
Clay, not a worry in a world of PBR on the way. Life is good today. Life is good today.
Polyumpa, Mississippi.
You know what that means.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
We'll do it live
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It is Middays. We are at West Point today for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance on the C Spire text line. Rusty says, I thank God every day that my electricity comes from Delta Electric and not Entergy. I'm not exactly sure why, Rusty, but the challenges of the future to keep up with electricity demand and to provide that electricity at a reasonable price is a concern, is an issue for every electric utility company, not just one. In Entergy, there's no question about that. They all are facing the same challenge, and that's just like our cities in counties dealing with aging infrastructure of roads and bridges and water. We're sort of hitting a point at which we made a lot of these investments years ago. Now this infrastructure is aging. It is in desperate need of modernization and replacement, but the replacement costs are considerably higher than when originally installed. And that's what's going on here. And across all electric utility service providers, they're all dealing with this. And that's why we've got to find and explore more novel ways of meeting these demands. I believe it's an all of the above environment solution. And I've heard Lee Zeldin, our cabinet secretary over the EPA. What's the guy's name? Rhino Gary, something or another, I believe, that runs the Department of Energy. I saw him on an interview this morning. But he was talking about that as well, how it's an all the above situation. It's not just. That seems right. I can't remember. I'm talking about the Secretary of Energy. But he says, it's an all the above matrix type solution. And I totally agree with that. And you and I have talked extensively. Chris Wright, yeah. I was thinking Gary from Gary Wright, but yeah, Chris Wright. So I had the first name wrong. But, nuclear, which I think you and I both agree is the future because it's unlimited. We have the technology to produce it. It just takes a while to spin up nuclear power plants. Unfortunately, we sat on our hands for too long. We should have been building power plants, nuclear power plants all along. We didn't. And now we're faced with a burgeoning requirement. If we don't do it, it's literally a matter of national security. If we don't have the power necessary to power these new technologies, which are necessary to keep us safe, I think that gets overlooked a lot because, as we said earlier, China doesn't care. And they're investing heavily. And they don't care about the dang environment. You pointed that out, Rhino. The left never criticizes the world's biggest polluter.
To
That's
the point
China.
where if you want to put on the tinfoil hat, wouldn't it make sense for China to start the ball rolling on all this climate crap in America to weaken us without having to lift a finger? Just utilize the useful idiots that'll spew all kinds of nonsense.
Yes, exactly. I find it ridiculous, but this is the only viable path for a thriving, safe society in the future. Otherwise, we're going to get clobbered by the other countries that are investing in this. So we can certainly sit in our bubble and say, no, not for me. I don't want any part of that. I don't want that around me. I understand the concerns, but just know that that makes our world less safe, more vulnerable to everything bad that can happen. Thank God our president gets this. I'm looking at a comment on a post about the announcement of this project in Rankin County. It says, y'all do realize these data centers bring very, very few jobs and put a major strain on an already failing energy grid, right? It also makes us a direct target for terrorists, as well as almost everyone they hire for the construction is from out of state. I need about an hour to talk about what's wrong with that view that is just done in a vacuum, almost like from an ivory tower. And I hate to see that. What's wrong with people coming into this state and spending their money and making money and paying taxes? What am I missing here? Do we just want to be permanently poor and keep losing our population to the point there's nobody here? I don't. And very, very few jobs. They simply don't understand the ecosystem. Directly, yeah, maybe. But aren't any jobs worth having? What are we missing here? We're coming right back with Matt Dowell, the executive director of the Triangle Regional Airport. Stay with us.
And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 3 of Middays from the Element Wealth Studio, relocated to West Point, Mississippi for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. It's the Prairie Arts Festival coming up on a Saturday before Labor Day. So inside 2 weeks from that huge event here where a whole bunch of people will descend upon downtown West Point, Mississippi to enjoy all the activities and festivities. Rhino safe and sound back in the SuperTalk Mississippi headquarters. So before we went to break, I was just reading this comment from an individual on one of the media outlets in the state report announcement of the $6 billion investment by Avio to construct a data center, AI-ready data center in Rankin County, Brandon, Mississippi. And so there's so many things to say about this, to the objections. The first thing is about the number of jobs that a typical data center operation hires. Well, let's talk about the AWS project in Madison. That's the biggest. So Amazon has committed to hiring 1,000 individuals full-time. They have to be in place, employed. by 2027 in order to qualify for the abatement of their corporate income tax and also sales taxes during the construction period, and the fee in lieu of agreements with the local jurisdictions for ad valorem taxes. 1,000 jobs at an average pay of $66,000 per job. I personally believe they'll end up with more staff, and I also think the average pay will be a good bit higher than that. I just don't think you can get the kind of people they're talking about. And by the way, this isn't just data center architects and cloud engineers and storage and virtualization engineers, network engineers. Heck, I employed a bunch of those people. They're expensive because they can be, because there are not enough of them to fill all the jobs. But you've also got the physical infrastructure that has to be maintained. That's the HVAC, as one of our texters talked about earlier in the program. We shared that with you. So you've got that. You've got the physical structured cabling plant, which is unbelievably complicated and massive. Lots of people will be involved in maintaining that, and that's a full-time endeavor that never ends. You're constantly moving, upgrading, replacing, just physical cable, both fiber and copper. A bunch involved in that, and then you've got the bare bones electricity and also the plumbing needs as well for cooling in this case using wastewater. So there's just a bunch of constant maintenance and support and work, as you can imagine, associated with 4 million square feet of data center and tens of billions of dollars of IT infrastructure. Never, ever ends. Just constant upgrades, refreshes, replacements, updates, all the above. A lot of that's automated, but a lot of that also requires people, skilled people. But beyond that, I think this is where, again, Rhino, you got to use some second-order thinking. Rhino, second-order thinking here. It's the outgrowth that occurs everywhere this happens. I've said this before, but coming out of the IT industry, we geeks, we kind of like to congregate and concentrate and work around other geeks. And so what you'll see, I'm convinced of this. I already know of projects that have been approved and commissioned from private developers, real estate developers, to build office buildings, to house technology workers, software developers, and innovators and architects, all the above, creators of technology. They like to be around, even though they may not have a direct relationship with AWS. They just like to be around those facilities. This is what's happened across the world, certainly across this country in a big way. It's what created Silicon Valley. It's what created Research Triangle Park. If you're not familiar with that, I encourage you to look it up in Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham. Unbelievable what it did for that area. Without question. I think we're going to see the same thing. We have the chance to create those same sort of opportunities and that same sort of technology business ecosystem here in Mississippi. And maybe rather than our precious graduates of our fabulous universities crossing the border before the ink's dry on their diploma, they will stay here because there will be a place for them to work. And for many of these knowledge worker type jobs, what we'd really like to see is some of these startups. I can tell you, I have dealt with 3 different AI startups here in Mississippi in the last 2 weeks, where I'm connecting them to other resources to help them get the assets and the resources they need to execute their business plan. Had one yesterday, an hour and a half, with an old contact from Wall Street. Great startup company, love the technology. My Wall Street contact did as well. Lots of decisions and action items for them. But that's going to be really cool. So what I'd really like to see, and what is going to happen, is that one of these companies, if not all of them, are going to succeed. And what we're going to end up with are large corporate headquarters and that's the real needle mover in economic development. All these other projects are fabulous, and we welcome them. We're grateful for them. But if you really want to move the needle, it's when you get corporate headquarters. And unfortunately, in Mississippi, we've had what feels like a net loss of corporate headquarters. And again, no criticism of those companies that had some sort of transaction where they're no longer the corporate headquarters. Bank consolidation is an example, and there are numerous others.
Well, there's at least one example where they might be due a little bit of criticism.
Okay, go ahead.
WorldCom?
Yeah, which was right. That's a good point. Which was, of course, built on a foundation of straw and not economic reality or business viability. You're right. That's a good point. But think about that time, Rhino, when they were headquartered here. And that building out in Clinton was full of a bunch of people that made a bunch of money. But more importantly, the procurement of goods and services that flow through corporate headquarters, because that's where the decisions are made, not the branches of those facilities or those companies. We welcome them when they come to Mississippi. Don't get me wrong, absolutely. But, man, where the rubber meets the road is where those decisions are made at corporate headquarters. That's when the suppliers of various goods and services in our state truly benefit. And I'm witnessing, just in anecdotal discussion on the AWS project, fabulous Mississippi-based companies that are sharing with me, they're making more money than they ever have in their history. So we want to say no to that? You remember, Rhino, when we did the remote out at our good friends Ace Bolt and Screw in Gluckstadt, and they're talking about, we interviewed the corporate sales manager. Yeah, I got 3 people full-time on site at AWS. We've got a warehouse stocked with the products they need, so they're immediately, readily available to them on demand. Unbelievable boost to their business. The porta potty people are making out. Every dump truck in the state is hauling dirt back and forth. And that's just that one project. We haven't even gotten to the outgrowth. 4,000 people working there on site, filling up the hotels, spending money in restaurants and buying other goods and services while they're here. Some of whom have decided they like it so much in Mississippi they're going to make it their permanent residence. Why are we opposed to that? Do we just want to stay poor permanently? I'm tired of being poor.
Because tribalism overrides common sense or logic for a shockingly large percentage of the population.
That's a shame. And this statement, it also makes us a direct target for terrorists. I don't think they get how this works, man. Terrorists aren't looking at bombing data centers. They're looking at attacking our data systems with cyber attacks. They do it every day. Every single day they attempt it.
Plus, the only even semi-terroristic attack I can think of on anything even remotely close to a data center was that weird bombing, what was it, Christmas Day or New Year's Day or whatever in Nashville, where the dude had the truck with the loudspeakers telling everybody to leave, and then boom.
Right.
That got memory hold,
right.
But that's the only one I could think of that happened anywhere close to what would be considered a data center.
But
that wasn't even a data center. That was, an exchange?
That's exactly right. So a little second-order logic before we go to break. Without these data centers and the workloads they're hosting, we're more vulnerable to terrorist attacks. You know exactly what I'm saying, but I know that requires second-order thinking. This is for our very safety and existence. Second-order thinking, I know. We're coming right back with Matt Dowell, the Executive Director of the Golden Triangle Regional Airport.
In Mississippi.
It's so awesome!
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Come on! Let's get on with the show!
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
We're back with you from the Element Well studio, relocated to West Point, Mississippi. We're here for the Prairie Arts Festival that's coming up in a couple of weeks here, Saturday before Labor Day, a presentation of the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance, heavily involved in that, the 47th year of this fantastic event in the Golden Triangle, West Point, Mississippi. We're pleased to welcome now Matt Dowell, the Executive Director of the Golden Triangle Regional Airport. Matt, good to see you. Thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So a lot of stuff is hopping up here in the Golden Triangle. I have emplaned and deplaned the Golden Triangle Regional Airport. Is a fabulous facility. And honestly, Matt, you guys are incredibly blessed to have such a great airport for a population center this size. I mean, it's on par with airports in much bigger areas.
It's true. No, we're very blessed, and thank you for flying GTR, right? Flying locally. We're extremely blessed. The whole Golden Triangle, as you know, is on a growth trajectory, and we are trying to keep up, as I say. We have air service. We're excited about our newest air carrier, American Airlines. So you can fly east, you can fly west. You got all kinds of options, and we're trying to continue to grow the airline service to match the growth of the community. And it's special, right? Not every community has a regional airport with a special multiple airlines. I think we're the only third one in the state that has multiple airline service. So it makes connecting in and out great economic development, right? When people are coming in, they want to know how convenient it's going to be to build businesses here for business travel, leisure travel. So we're excited to continue growing the airport and supporting all of our community members and everybody who's flying GTR.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So, and of course, we should point out that great general aviation facilities as well, right?
That's right.
For private
exactly.
aviation.
Yeah, a lot of people think about just the commercial service, but you have military, you have general aviation, sports charters coming and going for all the games, especially at the universities in the area. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and that is critical to economic development. So I dare say that Joe Max Higgins, who, of course, runs the link, he's the principal economic developer for the region. No doubt he sells. I've seen him. He sells GTR as part of his pitch, right?
No, exactly. He gets questions all the time of, what is your connection to the global transportation network? Well, it's one hop through Dallas or one hop through Atlanta and anywhere you want to go to from there. And you mentioned the link. They're our newest tenant out at the airport. So now their office building is on airport property. So they just had the ribbon cutting this morning. We're excited for them for their new office space and another tenant for the airport.
Yeah, well, we just had a visit from my friend Mike Armour and also Andrea Rose from the Mississippi Development Authority. Mike, of course, works for Senator Wicker, and apparently they attended the ribbon cutting this morning.
Yeah, it was a great ribbon cutting. Right? Yeah, it's amazing. Nice facilities right there front and center in the industrial park, so you can't miss it. We're excited. It's a very close ride for me to go have meetings with Joe and his team, and a great facility, so we're excited that they were able to cut the ribbon on that after a great construction season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What's the status, Matt? What plans do you might you have for the future? Are you courting additional carriers? Going to do some enhancements to the airport facilities themselves?
Yeah, we're trying to grow the airport just like the community is growing. So one of the things we're in the process of is expanding the terminal space right now. Okay. We've always wanted a jet bridge, especially on hot summer days and cold winter days. It's nice to be able to get on and off the aircraft without being exposed to the elements. The rest of the time it feels like a private charter, but not when those weather events come and go in the South and in Mississippi. So that's in process right now. We're excited to get escalators and elevators and a jet bridge that will kind of add the same amenities that you have at a larger airport at the Golden Triangle Airport. So that's in process. Always trying to renovate existing facilities. We've been around over 50 years, so there's a lot to maintain and improve. But the biggest one right now is our jet bridge project and terminal expansion. And then when it comes to air service, we're always trying to court additional airlines and then meet with our existing partners, right? They can always offer more flights, especially during different parts of the day. It just makes flying in and out of the Golden Triangle much more convenient when you have more flight options each day.
It's my understanding that a key measurement of just the activity and the traffic at an airport, enplanements, right? Isn't
That's
that
right.
the KPI?
That's what we call it.
Yeah,
It's one of the
right?
metrics we look at. That's right.
What does that look like?
Well, it's going to be a record year for us. Obviously, with an additional airline, that means more than ever. We've had more connections, more airlines, and more passengers coming and going in our terminal. So looking at a record year for that. We're really excited about having both airlines and more options. Once again, I think it's just about convenience. How can we make the airport more convenient? How can we have more options so that people can come and go and connect in and out of our area better every single day? And then the facilities, how do those kind of match the same facilities and the same amenities that the other communities have with their airports? So that's what we're kind of focused on, trying to make sure that we're better every day and growing to keep up with the Golden Triangle community.
Wow, that's awesome. So the Prairie Arts Festival coming up here in less than 2 weeks. I suspect you've got some visitors who travel through the airport.
That's right. We're excited to obviously you just have one hop through the major hub and you're here and coming and going. Or, events like this in West Point, we definitely see an uptick in our traffic when these happen. Excited that now there's just easier connections for people coming and going than ever before for these festivals and for all the shopping and events and eat out opportunities that West Point has to offer.
Yeah. A lot of attention, Matt, has been paid to what looks like at least an uptick in commercial, or not just commercial, but even private military aircraft incidents, mishaps, accidents. And there's a lot of talk, of course, from the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, about desperately needing to upgrade our air traffic control systems.
Yeah, air traffic control is one of the many facets of aviation, right?
Sure.
So it takes a lot of different jobs, but air traffic controls are an important part of our transportation system. They keep everybody safe. And so, there's a number of things going on, but we have an aging workforce in air traffic control, so they're trying to hire a bunch of controllers. So we need more people who are interested in aviation, like being around airplanes all day, to go in that profession, continue to have safe skies. And then technology, right? So there's a big need for advancing technology, continuing to implement new and improved both radios, radar, new technology in our control towers and in our air traffic control system. And that's part of what they've kind of announced is we're going to spend money, we're going to invest in this. Our transportation system is still the safest in the world, but it can always improve. And that's one of the things that they're definitely trying to do, as you mentioned, with those announcements and those funding.
Yeah, and really, I don't think any secretary before him has called attention to it the way he has. I mean, he really has highlighted some of the aging technology and systems in use by ATC. It just looks like it's been forgotten to some extent.
It's one of those things where it hasn't been broken enough for people to fix it, and then obviously we started having issues, and it was time to actually focus on it, get funding sources, bring more awareness to it, and that's what they've done. So I can see that not only is it going to be the safest now into the future with these investments, that it's going to continue to be safer and one of the safest transportation systems in the world.
So, Matt, do you collaborate and just interact with peers, let's say, that counterparts that work in your industry and manage airports of your size and even perhaps larger and smaller?
Absolutely.
You guys talk.
We do. We do talk. And in Mississippi, as you know, we all kind of get along with each other really well. That doesn't happen everywhere. But in Mississippi, we all get along and share information, right? So I always tell everybody, I don't need to have all the bright ideas. I'm going to take some from everybody else and put our own spin on it. We have a Mississippi Airport Association where we meet once a year, and then we have meetings quarterly just to kind of go over what's going on in the industry. How can we work together on legislation, as well as just sharing best practices? So it's one of the great things about being in this industry. You're not alone. You have other peers that you can work with, and we're all, once again, trying to connect a global transportation network. So one airport isn't going to get you very far. It is a system, and we're glad to be part of that system for the Golden Triangle and in Mississippi. And thankfully, we have a lot of great colleagues who are all trying to do the same thing.
You talked about enplanements being on the rise year over year, I assume.
That's right.
At Golden Triangle. That, I believe, is consistent with the situation across the country, is it not?
It really is. It's starting to come back, which we're super excited about. Obviously, we had a huge issue to deal with when COVID happened, and then it took a while to recover. But In the last couple of years, we've seen it continue to grow and get back to record levels, which is great. Obviously, if you're in the airport business, that's more passengers to support, and we hope that just continues to grow even further. But it's record years, and that just means more and more travelers that we're going to see and be able to serve every year.
And likely makes it a little easier for you, gives you more ammunition to court new carriers as well.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the same for the community. As the community grows, as there's more events, these are the type of things that are going to bring in the passengers.
No doubt.
I always tell everybody, we don't make the passengers, we just get to serve them.
Matt Dowell, Executive Director of the Golden Triangle Regional Airport, has been our guest here in West Point. Appreciate it, Matt.
Thanks so much.
On, man.
Yeah,
good
great
job.
to see you.
Yeah. We're coming right back, folks, from the Element Well Studio in West Point.
From the Seabrook.
Interrupt this program. Gerard Gibert.
Here we go. This is huge news. Huge news. You need to listen to this.
Middays with Gerard. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Down at the Astoria, the scene was changing. Bingo and rock were pushing out X-rating. We were the first band to bomb it in the
We're back with you in the Element Well Studio in West Point, Mississippi today. I tell you, we're having a bunch of fun here, almost too much. It's Jan Miller, the festival coordinator for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance. That's a mouthful. The Prairie Arts Festival. We got to shorten that somehow.
Exactly.
All right, Jan. So, number 47 is what Lisa Klutz told us earlier, right? The 47th Prairie Arts Festival. That is scheduled to take place not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. That would be, according to my math, August the 30th. Is that right?
That is correct.
I got it. So it's always on Labor Day weekend.
Always.
It's when the festival's
when it's the hottest in Mississippi.
I don't know about that. It's been hot a while. I think it's going to continue to be hot. We ought to be used to it by now. It's August, September. It's really hot.
You know, we prepare for this all year long, so we never, we don't know what the weather's going to be, but it's rain or shine, so come on.
Yeah, I get it, but it's going to happen, and it's you're going to have a packed downtown area, lots of folks in to enjoy the festivities and also spend money, right?
Oh, absolutely. And our vendors they're excited, but I tell you who's really excited are the businesses downtown because they wait all year. This is a really good time to draw people that they don't know into their businesses to also help our local retailers.
Yeah, so they're all behind this,
They're
right?
all behind it,
Yeah.
yes. And they don't fuss about blocking the streets.
Sure.
They love it because they know that it's a good time for people to see what they have. They may not purchase that day, but they will come back.
Do they talk about just how much their revenue, their sales increase on that particular weekend? I mean, they notice a spike.
Yes, they do.
In their traffic and their sales numbers.
Absolutely, and they'll see that weekend, but they'll also see it the week after and the week after that because they remember going in there and thinking, wow, that was a cool shop. I think I'll go back. I'll make a trip to go back because we do draw a huge area of people that come here.
I got you. So that's a pretty big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah. Do you run into people that come, it's their first time, and they say, I'll definitely be back. I'm coming back for more?
Oh, absolutely. We provide such a array of art. We start up at $1,000, $10,000. I mean, there are just so many pieces of fine art that we have here. And then you go down to the lady who sells the bows for the kids who want big bows in their hair. And then we have a lot of collegiate stuff. So being a football weekend, we do have good traffic and people do come to see what we have.
So Mississippi State opens up that day, right?
They do, but they're out of town.
They're out of town.
Which is a good thing for the festival because not everybody goes out of town.
Okay.
So that helps our shopping.
So the attendance is better when they open up away on the road then?
Or late in the afternoon.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
So we really do like when they open on that day,
Sure.
and it's a late or a night game because the women will come and shop early. They'll get their funnel cake, and then they'll head to the football game.
That makes total sense. So just kind of a dual purpose day,
Absolutely.
if you will, to enjoy the Prairie Arts Festival, then head down to watch the Bulldogs play.
And the other thing is that even if it's at 3 o'clock or 11 o'clock, we still have traffic either before or after the game.
I see. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes to pull this off, doesn't it?
It's crazy. I don't think people understand. I think that they think we twitch our nose and make all that happen out there. But there are logistics that have to happen. We have to know where to put the tents, where do the tables go, when the people are dropping off all of the golf carts, where do we park those, where do we put the coolers, how do we set up for the run. All of those things have to work together. This past year, we had sponsors for new barricades.
Okay.
They're metal barricades, but sponsors paid for them so that we will have less traffic trying to come through when we set everything up.
Yeah.
Because the wooden ones are easy to move.
Yeah,
These metal
sure.
ones are not as easy.
So the sponsors themselves felt like that was a worthy investment.
Absolutely. We had absolutely no problem doing that.
That's awesome.
We did that last year and this year and had a great response. And sponsors love to sponsor Prairie Arts. It's been around a long time. It's proven. And I think after COVID, we realized how important community is. And more people have come to the realization that this is important to our community.
Yeah, sure.
So that's helped us a lot. And then your retailers depend on this day. They really want to showcase their goods and what they have in customer service.
Yeah.
And it's also cool in their stores.
Okay.
It's not hot.
So a lot of folks will come off the street, enjoy the festival, and just drop in the store to browse around and often buy something.
Well, and we have our blues museum open, and it has blues music all day long. So it has its own art, its own music, and it's just a part of our festival that makes it community-wide.
I see.
Because we reach all people in our community.
I see.
But the logistics is, people just have no idea how. I mean, we don't start the week before. It's months and months. This year, when our shirts came in, the month before our shirts came in, people were begging for the shirts. They really wanted them. And those are important because we've had them every year for 47 years.
Interesting. 47 years. So in this building here, where you guys are located, do you have a shirt from every year by chance?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I thought you probably did. I saw lots of the posters, the promotional banners and signage and so forth through the years. That's pretty neat.
We keep up with that. We also know who is a lot of the art you see in this building came from our fine arts section of our and there's not as many fine art shows as there used to be. You have Double Decker, you have, and we're right up there with Double Decker. We have winners. We have people who come just to enter the contest for the best art.
I see.
And so we love that because that draws a whole different crowd from our street local vendors. It's a cool crowd of people that come just for the fine art.
I see. Well, and that seems to be still thriving to a great extent. I know you mentioned that maybe there aren't as many of these sorts of events that are focused on that, but in Mississippi that seems to be still fairly in vogue and popular, right?
Mississippi is known for their arts and their music, and so we tout that here in West Point. And the best thing, I think, is that there's such good food vendors, and now that we're in the business of you have food trucks, and so you get a lot of really good food. I call it festival food, but it's great food. We have a certain vendor that makes fabulous funnel cakes, and so we all go, have you gotten your funnel cake yet? So we love it, and it has evolved over the years. but we still we're sold out. We'd take a few more fine art vendors, but we have sold out of our street. All of our food vendors are sold out and have been for months. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
That every year we can continue to bring all of these people to our community for the community.
So do a lot of those food vendors, those food trucks, do they come from other areas? They're not all local, are they? Come from all over?
They come from all over.
Wow.
And not just from Mississippi.
Okay.
Florida.
Out of state?
Out of state.
Food truck vendors.
Yes.
How cool is that?
It's very cool. And we're seeing more and more of that.
Yeah.
We added a lot of new ones this year.
Okay.
And so because we had, I think after COVID, people were getting into their own businesses. And so we've seen a uptick in the food trucks.
Seems like that there's sort of a food truck craze, is there not? Where did that come from all of a sudden, out of nowhere?
No, but we love it.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, it's perfect for a festival setting
is.
like this.
And it's
isn't it?
perfect for them. It's so much easier than setting up tents
Yeah.
and having to, we have strict guidelines for those.
Sure.
And they're used to it, so they're prepared.
And honestly, I can't remember ever having bad food that was served from a food truck. It's always good, right?
We look forward to it because that's the only time you can get chicken on a stick.
That's right. Nothing better, especially eating outside, walking around, enjoying the festivities. Now I'm hungry. We shouldn't have talked about
I know.
that.
Well, it is lunchtime.
I hear you. Jan Miller, the festival coordinator for the Prairie Arts Festival, scheduled for August the 30th. That would be the Saturday prior to Labor Day, coming up that following Monday. Has been our guest here on Middays. Appreciate you coming on, Jan. Thanks a lot. And
enjoyed.
You guys have a great festival. I know it's always going to be fantastic. We're coming right back with the final segment of Middays from West Point, Mississippi. We're here for the West Point Clay County Community Growth Alliance.
Hello.
Gerard Gibert. Going beyond the headlines, breaking down the stories that matter to Mississippi. Middays with Gerard on SuperTalk Mississippi.
About you cold when you were headed for the skies, but you were young and bold, and baby didn't.
We're back with you at Middays in West Point, Mississippi. So Rusty said he thanks God every day that my electricity comes from Delta Electric, not Energy. He says they do much better job of keeping lines clear and better upkeep, local folks, better personal customer care. I hear you, and I don't really have any basis of comparison. I'm an Entergy customer. I have been for a long time. I don't have any complaints, honestly. I found them to be very responsive, and the service they provide, and it's just my personal experience now, has been extremely reliable, that when there is an outage, it's generally because of weather conditions, and it's the type of weather conditions where you would expect an outage. I mean, super strong thunderstorms, of course, and I do notice the crews out and about the area, and maybe your experience is different if you're an Energy customer, but I've noticed the crews out and about. In fact, here recently, cutting away the greenery and the growth from the power line right away. So that's just my experience, and it's an industry that's highly regulated, of course, by the PSC, and they are the ones responsible for ensuring that Entergy is performing at a quality level of customer service, and of course they're responsible for oversight of the rates as well. So we have to rely to a great extent on the PSC because it's their job to regulate, because they have somewhat of a monopoly. That's why. And the reason is because we wouldn't want to have multiple companies installing power lines and generation facilities all over the place. That really wouldn't be practical, wouldn't be in the best interest of society. And so, as a result, they're subject to some regulation. Energy, by the way, last year generated just under $2 billion of gross revenue in their Mississippi operation, in their footprint, and that threw off about $280 million of net profit. So a reasonable profit margin for a company in that industry that's pretty consistent with other electric utility service companies. Nothing unusual there. And again, they're, to a great extent, their revenue, their price, and you could argue their bottom line is somewhat under regulation by the government, in this case the Public Service Commission. So Keith Baden says Delta Electric buys the electricity from Energy. Yeah, it's not surprising. A lot of the electric co-ops, and those guys all collaborate with each other. Haley Fassackler has talked about partnerships they have with other major electricity providers. In fact, Rhino, do you remember him saying that through some enhancements made within some of the partners in their group, that they were able to obtain access to more power generated by Grand Gulf to service additional requirements here in Mississippi? Did I get that right? Do you remember him saying something about that? That something had kind of broken free where more of the energy produced by the Grand Gulf nuclear plant is now available to Entergy as part of this partnership they have?
Yeah, I want to say it was part of a settlement or something. I don't remember all the details.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tightly, highly integrated, as you guys are probably aware, talking about electricity in general, fed into the grid that ultimately travels and makes its way to the final address of the consumer. Magnolia Power sucks, says somebody on the C Spire text line. And we had an individual that is concerned about, says he lives in Fondra and says has frequent outages. The outages take far too long to be repaired because Energy laid off thousands of frontline workers about 10 years ago. He says, I have zero sympathy for them. Well, I don't know about the 10 years ago. I do know that Haley did share, and he of course, the CEO of Energy, shared with us that they have lots of job openings for linemen that they're just simply unable to fill in their recruiting efforts. So there's a labor constraint going on for that sort of labor, and he attributed the tardiness on maintenance of those right-of-ways to that, but that they had a plan in place to rectify that, as I recall. I have seen the negative impacts of these solar farms that are coming in. It's an environmental nightmare. Well, the good news is that it's not expected, as was the case under the Biden administration and by the left in this country, that solar and other forms of renewable wind, we have a different attitude towards that with the new administration. Those forms of energy are not expected to provide the bulk of the energy we need the way the prior administration do. So I think there's a complete change in attitude. It has a place, albeit a small one. We're out of here today from West Point. Back with you tomorrow. Stay safe and God bless everyone.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.